Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of the indicator store of the series Do It Yourself. This is a very short video and we are going to explain something that we already saw on a previous video, how to calculate the crossover of a line with the same line but displaced several bars to one side. For example, let's choose an HMA. This is just an example, we can choose any name. Now let's say that we move or shift that line. Let's copy and paste it, and then we can use the input parameter. This is a visual input parameter, the displacement. And we can shift the minimum is 1. So we get something like this, and let's say that we want to calculate those crossovers. For this example, let's use 10 bars. And now let's calculate these crossovers. This is valid for any line. The same line displaced several bars, and then we calculate the crossover. How can we do this on markers or on builder? On markers, this is very simple. We only need to copy one of the line, the main line. So we go to markers copy, choose a name. For this example, let's use red. And on input series, we place the line that we want to copy. On this case, it is an HMA with a period of 50. And now we can see the guideline dots just for checking that what we copy is what we want. Now we can use, for example, the crossover, markers crossover. Markers crossover is used between two lines. One of the lines is red on the current bar, and the other line is red a certain number of bars ago, for this example 10. This is the result that we are not going to use, and the threshold, let's start with 0. And this is what we get. Those are the crossovers by 0. We can see arrows as signals. We can choose something more visible than arrows, for example, vertical lines or background. Background is also a good option. For the vertical lines, we can change the width to make them more visible, but I prefer changing the background. This is more visible in my opinion. Another way, without using the crossover, is calculating the logic. When the dotted blue line crosses below the other line, this is the same line but shifted, then we can type the logic. For example, with markers logic, we can type that red on the current bar is less than red 10 bars ago. And the first time this is true, we paint the background in color red. And we get something like this. The signals are the backgrounds, where we have a crossover. And now let's see how we can do this on Builder. Let's go to Strategy Builder. And let's do exactly the same with an HMA. New strategy, for the name with cross HMA shifted or something like that. We are working at bar close, and now for the input parameters we have the period of the line and the shift, the number of bars. So period by default 50 and shift by default 10 bars. the minimum is 1 because we cannot use 0. A shift of 0 is the same line and there are not going to be crossovers. Now the problem is when we want to write the logic, because the normal or the usual method will be placing the HMA on the left with the period, and the same on the right, the same HMA with the same period, and we have an input parameter to specify the shift here, the bar go. For example, 10 bars. Now I am remembering that on Builder we cannot set an input parameter here. We need to open the code, but more about that later. Let's type 10. The problem is when we use cross above, we have here HMA on the current bar, cross above, HMA 10 bars ago. When we click on OK, if we look at the formula, the 10 is no longer present. It is nowhere. So Builder is incorrectly calculating the logic as the crossover of the line with itself. It is not placing the shift. That means we are not going to have any signal. But no problem, because we can do the same as the second method we used on markers. So instead of crossover, instead of cross above, we can use greater, or for this example we are using less. So less. So the current bar on the current bar is less than the same line 10 bars ago. The problem is we are going to get what we have on the histogram on markers. So it is going to paint. Let's see an example. If we paint the background when that condition is true, it is going to paint the background not only at the crossover, but always that one line is above the other. Let's compile. Here we can see the number 10. So we are not missing the shift. So let's enable the strategy with crossover HMA shifted, enable, and this is we are only interested in the crossover, not the first time that the condition is true. How can we do that? We could say that on the current bar this is true, but one bar ago, no. This is the definition of a crossover. On the current bar, one line is above the other. On the previous line, it was not. So this is the definition of a crossover. On the current bar, one line is on one side, on the previous bar, it is on the other. So we can copy this condition and paste it, and just shift displays all the logic one bar ago. That means that the left instead of 0 is 1, and on the right instead of 10 is 11. And now it is not less. The opposite to less is greater or equal. We are including the equal. Okay, let's compile and check again. Refresh the strategy, enable and disable, and now we have the signal that we were looking for. So we got the crossover between the same line but shifted. The user-defined number of bars. This shifted number is not possible to add. We need to unlock the code, because on Builder this is not possible. But this is not so complicated. Let's see what happens. When you unlock the code, you get the Ninja script. And this is the variable, the shift, that we need to use. Here we have the HMA 10 bars ago. So this must be replaced by shift. And here, this is 1 bar ago. So shift plus 1. Let's copy and replace the 10 by shift and replace the 11 by shift plus 1. And now that's all. Let's compile and test again. Don't forget that this is no longer a builder strategy, and now we need to deal with the NinjaScript code. There's no way to come back. Let's check how it works now. So we can try, let's go to the strategy. We can try using, instead of 10 bars, we can try a shift of only 5 bars and see what happens. And this is what we get. The extreme case will be 1, only 1 bar. And we get something like this. If you want to do the same on markers, just edit the logic and replace 10 by 1. And now we get the same results. Hope this video has been useful for you. And any question or comment, you can find me on the chat room. And don't forget that we are doing training sessions about NinjaScript. Everything that we saw today and a lot more stuff like creating a logic, painting the signals, and optimizing the parameters. For more info, contact me on the chat room. The instructions are on the description of this video. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.